Tenable Network Security, creators of Nessus, the world's best vulnerability scanner. Jumpstart your security program today and evaluate Security Center CV, the continuous monitoring solution. For more information, visit them on the web at tenable.com. ProXPN is the leading VPN service offering free accounts, excellent premium features, and an outstanding commitment to privacy and security online. Use the discount code WEEKLY and save 50% off for life. NetSparker, the developers of desktop and cloud-based web application security scanners that enable you to automatically identify vulnerabilities in your web applications and web services. NetSparker scanners employ a unique and dead-accurate vulnerability scanning engine that automatically verifies vulnerabilities with a proof of concept. For more information, visit them on the web at netsparker.com or email them at contact@netsparker.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Security Weekly. This is the security news for this week. We've got lots of really fun stories to talk about. As always.
And again, typical, lots of overlap between the two of us.
A lot of typical stuff in here.
And again, you and I with lots of overlap.
Absolutely. Microsoft disables Wi-Fi sense on Windows 10. Did we talk about this last week?
We didn't.
We did. I think you had it in, but we didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it. That's why I added it again. I thought so.
And thank fucking God.
Did we talk about how much
we've talked about it in the past and how dumb of an idea it was.
Wreck. Yes, complete train wreck.
I'd like to see them do more than disable it. I'd like to have them take the feature out completely.
So you can still enable it if you want to.
Yeah, it's just a dumb
It's disabled
idea.
by default now.
Just dumb idea. Don't do it. Dumb.
It says it. No, they did remove it. We have removed the Wi-Fi Sense feature that allows you to share Wi-Fi networks with your contacts and to be automatically connected to networks shared by your contacts.
Well, thank God for that.
Says a corporate vice president of Microsoft's engineering systems team, Gabe Aul. A-U-L.
Was he wearing a red shirt?
He's going to be the first to die. Maybe it was his team that came up with it.
Maybe.
Thank God.
Thank God for that.
The sad part is it wasn't around long enough for anybody to really find anything good vulnerabilities in the whole process. Or maybe they did and they just didn't share it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
I read that I read that as just I haven't had the time to go look at it yet.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's one of those things as a pen tester that you have this good and bad feeling about it at the same time. Like if you're being a customer advocate, you're like, oh, thank God. But if you're being a pen tester, you're like, oh, man, I haven't had time to actually really hack into that crap yet. So, I feel you, Larry.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. The sword.
What else we got?
Tesla Crypt.
Yeah, we both had that one.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was something to do with the car. It has nothing to do with the car, it turns out.
Nope.
It's ransomware.
It's ransomware. And so Tesla Crypt, they basically are going out of business. And for all those people that get Tesla Crypt,
But it's such a profitable business for attackers. Why are they going out of business?
I don't know.
They must really suck at business.
Maybe. But so they released the master decryption key.
So they released it.
They did. Yeah, no, they didn't have it done for them. They released their own master decryption key. Basically, it was sorry.
That's so weird. Why would you do that?
So it's kind of interesting. And from what I gathered from the article, it wasn't so much they went out of business, is that they kind of merged groups with merger and acquisition within the malware industry. They sort of just moved all of their efforts into developing these other platforms that were newer.
So does that mean the encryption key is actually going to work?
Yeah.
Or should I say the decryption key? But
my understanding is that it does. It does.
Wow. Well, that's an interesting turn of events, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Now, they didn't give you they didn't say, well, here's a tool to decrypt your stuff, but here's the key. And allegedly there's they did release some code, and I saw that there was something along the lines from Ben Jackson had retweeted something about along the lines of that there was like some backdoor type stuff in some of the code, and it was totally anti-sandbox trick in Tesla Crypt, which is new, something we hadn't seen before. So the code is out there apparently, and you can now write your own decryption tools. It's just a matter of someone writing a decryption tool and charging money for it. Wait, what?
I believe a decryption tool is already out by ESET.
Nice.
So
Perfect.
Excellent.
The LinkedIn breach got some press. Apparently,
Yeah.
117 million new logins are for sale.
Yep, and this came out of the alleged zombie thing from 2012 that they released 6.5 million saying, LinkedIn, you're a bunch of tools, and held on to another 717 million login credentials and are now just releasing those. Are selling
hint
those.
for the listeners: go change your LinkedIn password.
Yes,
Serious.
because they're saying that so many of the passwords and the credentials are still valid
Yeah.
4 years later.
Apparently, people haven't heeded the warning that you need to change your LinkedIn password.
Yeah, well, so the warning was in the quote community that you needed to change yourself. LinkedIn only forced change to 6.5 million users.
Force changed.
Forced change. They didn't do every.
But they notified people.
Did
Did they notify people?
I don't remember because it was
mean,
4
I
years ago.
think
It was
they
4 years
did.
ago.
They did notify people. I got a notification.
I believe they did.
Yeah,
I believe
I
they
remember.
did. But they only forced change 6.5 million users, the ones that have been disclosed, and they didn't force everyone.
That is correct.
Correct.
Great, because they didn't
So
want
only
to. They didn't
certain
want
people
to.
were forced.
Right, they didn't want to impact their entire customer base. Well, turns out,
Poo-poo on them.
yep, they probably should have. It's like when you drop, TGT tickets.
Yeah, like you should
Make
change
everyone in the domain.
You should
and
change your password. Yeah,
and change your
I'll get
ticketing
to that.
authority
I'll get to
password
that
twice.
eventually. And apparently,
But the bigger impact, of course, is if you share passwords across platforms, even on the basis of perceived equal security risk, you've got to change that same password across all the platforms because, hey, just stating the obvious. I'm being Mr. Obvious here for a minute.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
we need to do the podcast at the bar when it's just me and you next time.
Yeah.
Because I could use another drink, but the bar is right. It's right.
It's right there. Where?
It's right.
Where's
right-
our
it's-
bartender?
It's right there.
You asked a bartender for
I
one.
was
It's right
about
there.
to get my feelings hurt
you
for
can have
you
some of
excluding.
my gin and. No, you don't want that soda.
No, I
not very
really
good.
want an old fashioned or something.
Yeah,
And
where's
it's
where's
right
Keith?
there.
Where's Keith?
We could be mixing drinks while we talk.
Well, we're supposed to be doing a. No,
We are doing a show. I could do a show and make a drink at the same time.
we could. In fact, we should do a show about.
We should do a
Making
show
drinks?
about making drinks. That would be awesome too.
Wait. Only Apollo and Jack have those special talents. I don't think you guys can claim those.
Nice.
See, yeah, absolutely, they need to be involved.
But
that
a patched vulnerability in Ubiquity Network's gear was
This is the man who doesn't give a fuck.
this is a live production going on
Like,
here.
man needs a drink. man needs a drink, right?
Ubiquity had fixed a problem with their routers, and I'm trying. I read this article, and it really doesn't exactly explain what the vulnerability is. Although further research on my part after this article,
Well, clearly from the screenshot, it's grep-I date ls mod.
Yep.
that's like total Hollywood hacking description. Yes. How did you hack into the system, grep-I date ls mod?
Like, that was totally me on the 60-minute interview that I did.
Yes.
Like, they needed me typing stuff on the
Stuffing
screen.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I was doing
I'm
ls-la and changing directories and doing it again.
Yeah, or
Canning some
you can always
file.
do strings, right?
Yeah,
strings
Strings
works
is
pretty
good.
well.
Yep, absolutely.
But in this article, they reference, and what is the terminology they use? It's not foul language. They said that the malware uses
Profane.
profane. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. They use profane language. So after I read that, I'm like, now I got to know what profane language they use. Apparently, they set the root equivalent username to mother, and the password to guess what? Fucker.
To hockey puck.
Yes.
So now you know
Yeah.
what the password is, right? If you can't log
But
into
apparently,
Ubiquity
all this worm does is reset to factory defaults and then change the username and password. So it's essentially like a denial of service worm.
Yeah, that's kind of boring. That
Yeah.
okay.
It's kind of lame. But apparently, they fixed this vulnerability a year ago, and a year later the worm comes out.
Well, that's perfectly valid because if you think about this, the Ubiquiti devices are embedded IoT type devices.
Ubiquiti, and I love Ubiquiti products, by the way.
Absolutely.
Ubiquiti released the patch quietly in 2015 for a vulnerability that was found through the company's bug bounty program.
But now I would argue, how many releases have there been since then? And how many people don't upgrade their shit because if it's not broken, don't fix it?
But I wonder, did the customers understand the impact?
Probably
if it was quietly.
They quietly released it. I'm assuming they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And now that said, I love Ubiquiti stuff, and I've used Ubiquiti stuff for years.
Taste Ubiquiti.
I think it's potentially a ubiquitous impact.
Wow.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's one of those old jokes, right?
Yeah. So you know how, Paul, you think about how long we've used some of these. Think about how long we've used some of these Ubiquiti products. You remember when we were starting to do this podcast and we were doing Wi-Fi stuff?
Yeah.
And in order to do Wi-Fi attacks, you needed like a dozen different wireless adapters. You had the Wi-Fi attack bandolier, because you had all the wireless attack cards. One of the Ubiquiti cards was one of the sexiest cards to have for some of these attacks because they do so many together.
Now, the only reason I put this next story in here that says Skin Track turns your arm into a touchpad, and here's how it works. Sadly, it has nothing to do with pornography. But
you wanted it to, didn't you?
Can you turn
I did. I was like, Skin Track, that's awesome. I can track all of my porn. This is great.
So now my question is, we can maybe turn that into, if your penis is big enough, can you in fact turn your penis into a touchpad?
Every day.
No okay. Comment every day.
Wait. So to quote a line from the article, tilting and twisting the bezel lets people control the watch like a joystick.
Giggity. Wow. No, it's like a watch.
I think I did that. I was going to say, I think I did that twice this morning. So it's like a cock ring.
No, it's not. It's like a watch that you wear on your arm, and then you can draw on your arm like that, and it controls the touchscreen so that when you're gaming, your finger doesn't get in the way of the screen.
That's not where I was wearing it.
I'm sorry,
It doesn't help you with porn, because if you're drawing on your arm can't be moving at the same time.
Well, that's why you draw on the arm. Like, scroll faster.
There's our technology. It automatically scrolls as you do that.
Does it? So if you can remap so when it scrolls that the video fast forwards a little bit.
Yes.
I mean,
wow, that had absolutely nothing to do with security.
Nope.
Okay.
But it was fun.
But it was a fun story to talk about.
So a little bit on that line, one of the stories that I put in was my story number 5.
Oh boy.
The quote blank Amazon dash button. So have you seen these? So
No.
the Amazon dash button, they basically will ship you a button. And it's a button that you like put over your washing machine, and if you need to order Tide detergent, you're out of Tide detergent. You press the button, and it orders Tide for you through your Amazon account. You get it 2 days later.
Yeah, but
I love that.
But what happens when someone else pushes the button, though?
Exactly, you get a thing of
Thank you.
Tide. So a bunch of folks took these buttons and like completely hacked them and decoupled them from the Amazon API, so you can use them for whatever you want. And Amazon is like, well, hey, there's a market here. Let's just sell the quote, sell the blank devices. Like very much Futurama in that you take your robot and you put it in the machine and out comes Lucy Liu type of thing. So you put the blank button in and you can make it do whatever you want, and you have to do some programming for the
I see. So
API.
it's a product specific button.
Yes, it's product specific.
Amazon's original intent.
So wait. Let me get this right. So we can literally walk into an organization with a button labeled "Easy" and give it to said administrative assistant of choice or staffer of choice.
If Easy was a product.
And fish them on the spot. And in fact, have them press the button in front of us to fish them on the spot.
Well,
that is fantastic.
But
I love it.
The button is product specific, Joff. So it wouldn't be an Easy button. It would be you push this button and more paper. It's like the paper towel button, right? Yeah. It's above the paper towels in the supply closet, and when you run out of paper towels, you push the button. The button's programmed to order more paper towels from Amazon, right?
Yeah.
If I get the use case.
but we can extend that to whatever we want.
Sure. And now it's even better because Amazon is releasing non-product specific buttons. I mean, you can use it for whatever you want to make it do all sorts of actions.
Is it Wi-Fi? A Wi-Fi button? This is essentially a Wi-Fi button?
Essentially a Wi-Fi button, if I remember correctly.
Hey, Larry, have you ordered one yet?
I have not, and I need to. The only thing that I see that is
They
a problem...
show someone pushing the button and then it cuts to a screen of an atomic bomb going off.
Yeah, because you can repurpose it. Now use it with your Amazon Echo.
So basically, it's a Wi-Fi thing that can send an HTTP request,
essentially,
or whatever, probably whatever you want. But I mean, it's
an API
in Amazon's. In Amazon's case, it's basically HTTP. In their case, an API request. When I push it, it orders more Tide, and it orders. It's similar with Domino's. You can order. You have a pizza button.
Pizza and Red Bull button. I mean, or a pizza button, and a Red Bull button. Now, the intent is with this blank button is that you can tie it to potentially whatever API you want. You press this and something happens. Like
through an API.
Connect it to your smart things and have it turn all the lights off in your house.
Yes, I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, now, the buttons for...
We have software that interfaces with a bunch of APIs that publishes the podcast. I totally want to come in on Friday morning and push the publish podcast button.
Yes.
And things just magically happen in the podcast.
Yes.
Like, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
I'd make a video every day of me like strutting into music and like pushing the button.
You should.
Publish.
We should.
That'd be awesome.
We should. Now, the thing that I think that's kind of interesting is it's the blank button. They realized, oh shit, people are hacking these things for using for other things.
Let's just sell
We
it.
want in that on that market, and they charge a premium.
Do they?
Yeah. So the
It's
standard
$20?
The standard dash buttons are either free or very
Like
inexpensive.
$5. Yeah.
Or like
the usual.
under $5.
They say the ones that you can program are 20 versus 5.
Yep. And you know what? That's the quote Linksys WRT54GL
which I had a story on.
Yep. So that's kind of interesting, and quite honestly, I need to order one and I need to figure this stuff out. But I just haven't had enough time for personal projects.
But I would imagine that.
And it's summertime, so I go outside instead of in the
I
basement.
wonder how the button works for Amazon,
Imagine
though.
that.
It must have your credentials or an access token, right?
I haven't looked at the dash
I mean,
stuff. And
because I'll order something on Amazon, even if one click is I have to be signed in.
Yep. There's been a bunch of folks that have done a ton of research into the dash buttons, and it's out there. So your little reading would probably tell us a whole bunch, but I just haven't had the time to look at it.
We don't actually read stories here. We just talk about it.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that's not clear from this yet, but as I've been sitting back listening, that I think is fascinating is that they said, "Oh, you guys are going to hack this? All right, cool. We'll just give it to you." I mean, yeah, they're charging a premium for it, so that's
but even $20 is not. $200 is a premium. $20 is not.
You think about the business model behind that is if they give you the button for $5 at a highly subsidized rate for Tide,
because you're going to buy more Tide by pushing the button.
Right, and they're going to make
My kid's
more
going to
money.
push the button 800 times, so I'm going to have Tide for everyone.
right. And then you take the button.
You're the Oprah of Tide.
That's right.
Tide for everyone!
And in the apocalypse, you've got an awesome exchange good.
Well, and I'll tell you what I think is going to be fascinating is what we see people do with this. Like, I mean, so because I look at startups now, I think this is just brilliant on a lot of levels. Unintended consequences and intended consequences.
Yes.
They embrace something, they're running with it. That's cool. Now I can't wait to see what people do with it. We already talked about makerspaces on the show today. I can't wait to pull this apart and see what people are doing with it. But like, I look at this and I go, this is actually pretty cool. By the way,
dare I ask what the button next to your bed orders?
my bed? I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Hookers.
55-gallon drums of lube.
Oh, God.
We went in the studio. We're out of lube. Push the button.
And you can get it from Amazon.
That's right.
Someone posted to Twitter today a semi-trailer, and it was FUCHS lubricant as a tractor-trailer truck labeled "fucks lubricant."
Nice.
And someone else replied, "They said I got one a year's supply. Clearly, they underestimated."
Here's the thing, though, too. When we talk about hacking and using these buttons and doing stuff with it, I want to see the stories of people doing good stuff. I want to see somebody who says, "Hey, I figured out how to solve a cool problem. I'm a security person, and I figured out how to do something that's useful for us." I mean, obviously, publishing the podcast by pressing a button would, in fact, be pretty useful. But like we we were talking before about disclosure. We were talking before about how do we show people that we're not monsters. And one of the things that I've noticed when we look at the media is if there's a story of it's good. It's like the parents came together to make sure that the kid on the insulin pump could go be part like everybody else. Cool. As we see more things like this come out, a lot of times in security, we're quick to point out all the negatives, all the downside, everything that's broken about it and why the world's just horrible. We have a real opportunity using this button or anything else. Anyway, if you've got something that you've done that makes other people's lives better, let us know, because I think that's the kind of thing too that we should talk about more often.
Hey, I've got it. In response to Michael, his comment, which I completely respect, it's I want a button with the graphic logo of CISO parachute on it, and we're good to go. Okay.
The
So as soon as they CISO parachute, as soon as they push it, good. And I'll even put the word golden on there.
So it automatically updates their LinkedIn profile using one of their compromised passwords, I'm guessing.
Right. Throws out thousands of resumes and gives them a payoff as they quit.
And you know what? I found
more like for the children, so the terrorists don't win. But I think that's a good start.
And
it is. It's always for the children.
We could make that happen, because I was trolling GitHub earlier today, and I found someone that had a in their GitHub repository they had written some code that automatically applies for every job on Craigslist.
Exactly, right? That's just it.
Yeah, you can have the I quit button, which sends like the FU email to all of your coworkers, updates your LinkedIn profile, and then send your resume out to everyone.
Take this job and shove it.
Take this job and shove it button. That's exactly what the button says. Dude, that would be a bad button. A lot of people
out there. I'll take PayPal donations and I'll take beer.
If you made it as easy as pushing a button, dude, the job market would explode. There'd be everyone pushing this take this job and shove it. And it should sing the song. It should play the song.
What? It's got to interface with your Amazon Echo to play the song.
That's it. Dude, I want to buy.
$1 million idea right there. $1 million.
There's technology on my want list, but the security person in me. Like, it holds me back. Amazon Echo is one.
I'm seriously considering it, unfortunately.
Because then they put it in Lowe's, so like while you're shopping for it, like, oh.
Yeah, I just saw one in Home Depot the other day.
I'm like, I can buy that here, like right now. Like, I'm here, I have a credit card, I'm buying
I was at an event yesterday, and somebody had the new Amazon Tap, and they were demoing that, and I went, oh.
What is that now?
So the difference is the Echo is always on, always listening, and can do all sorts of stuff for you. The Tap is basically a Bluetooth speaker enhanced with the Alexa technology, but it can stream Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, anything from your Amazon Prime list. And the difference is it's not always listening. So you press the button, but then you can be like, so what's the weather today? It'll give you the weather update. You can press the button and say, I need to order paper towels. And it would say, your last order of paper towels was X, and, would you like another order for that?
So you mean
it can still do it. It's just not always on, and it's battery operated. And I was in a fairly decent hotel room, and we had almost 100 people in the room, and the guy at the front turned on the music, and he said, like, hey, play the Beatles. It started playing the Beatles. You could hear it in the whole room. I was actually thoroughly impressed.
Actually, Alexa, I have a Fire TV that has Alexa on it. It's scary accurate.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
You know what I found out the other day? I was sitting in my office, and something went on with my phone, and I went, hey, Siri, show me pictures of goiters.
And then it froze?
No.
It's still working on it?
No, I'm surprised. For whatever reason, I didn't have it turned on, but the always-on listening on my iPhone was listening for the Hey Siri.
Oh, really?
And I had said something that sounded like Hey Siri on a conference call. Mm-hmm. And my phone goes, ba-ding. I'm like, huh?
Ba-dink? I will pull up those pictures of dildos for you now, Larry.
Exactly. And I'm like, what?
No, I didn't want that. No.
Show me pictures of a house fire. Oh, God. But
the Alexa works well. Actually, my family was playing with it, and they were saying things like poopy and poopy pants, and it's like, oh, ding, would you like to buy some diapers? The last order of diapers that you had was
That's
this.
awesome.
Like, it's just really funny stuff like that.
Have you seen the one that Josh Wright did about writing extensions with the API for his Amazon Echo? So he did
Oh, so he bought an Echo.
He bought an Echo and he's been playing with it and he's been writing stuff for the API, working with Ed on some of his home control stuff. And they see the video of, hey Alexa, what day is it? And it says today is Monday, February 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey Alexa, what day is it? Today is Tuesday, Thursday. And then, hey Alexa, what day is it? And it busts into the Amanda Black song and plays the Friday song instead of having the standard Alexa response. It plays the song, and I'm like, oh God, this is evil.
That's evil. That's just wrong.
Yep.
Apple banned Stefan Esser's iOS security info app. That's right.
What?
He wrote an app, and if you follow the link all the way to the story by the Register, the app features CPU usage, memory usage, disk usage, process list, inspect running apps for SHA-1 hash signature, entitlements, jailbreak detection, security anomaly detection, and malware detection. They pulled it from the iOS store and said, currently there is no publicly available infrastructure to support iOS diagnostics. Therefore, your app may report inaccurate information which could mislead or confuse users. Therefore, we're removing your app.
What?
People were taunting him on Twitter saying, hey, as retribution, you should just release an iOS jailbreak vulnerability and exploit. And he's like, by the way, I'm not releasing a jailbreak as payback. That would be dumb.
Yeah, but you know what though? Because if you think about that from Apple's perspective, they sell a lot of phones, and they sell a lot of phones to people that don't have that level of sophistication. So now if they download that and they start seeing numbers, I mean, think about the people that still look at all sorts of memory usage and then ask really wild questions and conjure up all these things they need to do to make their computers work better. And Apple's like, yeah, no, we just handle that in the background now, like you're good. People are like, no, I read this thing in 1985. I need to do this. And so I mean, I get it. Like they're basically saying that you're going to give people data and they may or may not have the ability to interpret and act on that properly. And what they're not saying is, and that's going to completely suck for us. And and so, you know, hey, dude, sorry, but no.
Hey, can I go defrag my iOS, my Apple phone hard drive? Like, that'd totally fix it. Make my phone faster.
It seriously would, Larry. I think you're right, man.
And it's totally, yeah, exactly.
I heard of this website where you can download more RAM. That might help.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Just thinking.
Yeah, Kevin, when you do my LinkedIn request, that'd be totally awesome if you could send that to me.
Hey, download
Put
more
this
RAM.
on dash button and just do it all day.
I think he's onto something.
Yeah.
He is on something.
That's interesting. I saw this top 10 security podcast post, and I admittedly I just read it just to see if we were on it and whether or not they referenced us by the old name or the new name.
The new name.
And it is the new name, but I didn't scroll down to see what some of the other ones were.
Yeah.
And the Exotic Liability podcast, which Chris is trying to rebuild.
Good.
At least the archive and stuff, but I don't know what happened to his Libsyn account, if he let it expire or his Libsyn account expired. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole backstory there that I can't share on the show. But they link to his Libsyn account, which is no longer there, and you get a 404.
Yeah, and it's like this.
But he's trying to rebuild the archive. I think it's interesting.
But this article,
to listen to Exotic Liability archives, certainly.
Yeah, like people listen to our archives.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And it's like every one of these things on here is, you should be listening to these, including ours. But the one for Exotic Liability that was published a month ago, it's like, no, I can't.
Right. So, he's working on rebuilding the archives.
I'd love to hear the story off the show.
He's made progress. So that I can't say on the air, but yeah.
No, that's good. Hey, it's good that we're listed too. So,
the Southern Fried Security Podcast, this is more of a family-friendly podcast compared to Paul.com.
So there was a reference. I think it seems to me like they found an old blog post that talked about the top 10 podcasts and copied and pasted into a new blog post just to help their SEO.
Yep. Okay, just for your information, listeners, we are absolutely 100% family friendly. if your
Yeah.
family is
Babies.
completely
if your
adult.
family, if your family is completely dysfunctional, we are family friendly.
I thought you meant by making babies.
Well, yeah. Make babies.
Well,
to our
that
show.
too. But yeah, if your family is, I think, as Paul said, completely dysfunctional and
If
potentially juvenile adults, then we're family friendly.
if you have a family and one of those family members was conceived during listening of this show, we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely.
You know what, lovely Larry wants to hear about it. You can keep
I
me out
don't. You know
that
what?
one.
I don't want to hear about that.
PS or
I'm
fine.
afraid
Larry
of the,
Security
I'm
Weekly.
afraid of the pictures coming in. And
No,
we're
pictures.
Good.
I just
Thanks.
wanted to
Next
get
week's listener mail story.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, next
I
week's,
think I just- I
next
think
week's
I just
listener
heard the-
feedback is going to be really interesting.
I think I just heard the needle slip right off the record. You see?
You know what's dysfunctional? Flash is dysfunctional.
Oh my God.
Flash
Oh,
0
yeah.
days. And what's interesting, Google Chrome will actually switch off Flash content by default.
Is that why Chrome was so much faster? Oh shit.
Google has confirmed that it'll block Flash by default with the exception of 10 sites. YouTube and Facebook are on that list. And
Oh, wow.
I can't read the rest of the article because I'm running an ad blocker software, which is my other freaking rant this week. What is up with websites that are like, oh, all of a sudden I'll be reading an article on, screw it, I'm going to call them out, Wired.com. I'm reading an article, and all of a sudden,
Forbes does the same thing.
and Forbes does the same thing. Thank you, Michael. We talked about one of those. And now v3.co.uk does the same thing. You go to their site with an ad blocker, and you can like start reading, and then all of a sudden, like you get like this gigantic thing that takes over your screen and says, "Oh, we see you're using an ad blocker. Yeah, we can't let you view our site unless you like register and give some of your personal information to us, or."
You know what happens when that?
You know what? F you for that.
Yeah,
That's
you know what I
say.
do? I go to Google and I find the article somewhere else.
Exactly. And then we post a link to the story for somewhere else, like you didn't do for this one.
I didn't do for this
That's
one.
okay.
I tried to do for Wired. Unfortunately, Wired was the only story that broke the OkCupid.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it's gotten out of control.
That's just wrong, dude. It's just wrong. It's
I get that it's their business model, but
it's not my fault. Your business model sucks.
sucks. Exactly.
Sorry.
Well, so
Sorry.
this is right. So this is where when you look at it and you go, all right. So on one hand, in the security industry, we look at serving up ads as going, that's dangerous, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
know,
Angular.
but we don't communicate that very well beyond going spooky, danger, don't do it. But then at the same time, yeah, this is definitely like a dying business model, and so their answer to it is, well, we'll just block it. Like, oh, you're gonna block us? Well, we'll block you for blocking us. Oh, great, that's good. That's an adult way to handle it.
Because clearly escalation is the way to handle this type of stuff.
Yeah, well, so then it goes back fundamentally to, okay, so if somebody's creating content and you're providing value, then how do you get compensated for that value? And it used to be you had to pay for stuff, and now it turns out we're the product, or we're clicking on stuff, and we've kind of figured out, well, we don't want to be the product or click on stuff, and so they're going, well, but I still got to get paid for it. So
It's like
from a business perspective, it's interesting.
But here's the thing: they don't want to tell their advertisers that people use ad blockers, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So they're telling their advertisers, well, if someone is using an ad blocker, like we make them register for the site, and then we allow them to view it, and then lo and behold, where does my information go? To your advertisers?
Yep.
To your mailing list now? Like, am I in that? To me,
Oh gosh, you know I didn't
That's
think about that.
shady.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
It's probably suddenly now like, and I can do lead gen, and we'll give you
Right.
detail, and we'll mine it across all the sites. Yeah,
or
that's
even
great.
if they're just
Fantastic.
using it as a statistic, like, oh, by the way, the number of people that gave us their email address so they could read our site was X, and they're using that for their advantage, not using my information for their advantage. I take issue with that. I mean, we take a different approach on Security Weekly.
Sure.
Banner advertising is just one of the things we do. We do our best not to have our ads blocked by ad blockers. In that, like, basically, I've written all of the code myself for some of our web properties, and it's really a lot of it is how you name. To be honest, like the big secret. Don't put the word ad or banner in your file name, and then magically a lot of the ad blockers don't pick up on it. And it's interesting. There's some very standard ad plugins for a lot of popular websites,
Mm-hmm.
you could so easily check for those. And I'm surprised more people don't. But you have to have services outside of those ads. So you have to say, well, people are going to come to our site with an ad blocker. Well, what else are we going to do for our advertisers to give them value beyond just putting up a banner ad? Because as a website, you can't do that. I mean, with a newspaper or print,
Sure.
yeah, people don't have ad blockers. But you know what the ad blocker was? Turning the page.
Yeah, not
I'm
reading
going
that
to the.
shit.
I'm not reading the ad. So what's the difference between not reading the ad and then running an ad blocker?
And the sad part is that some of the ads are good. Like at home we get this this little regional paper that is essentially want advertisements and ads for local businesses that are
Right.
mom and pop type of stuff that they
But
want to
they'll
get
give
to
you
local
they'll give you a
community.
good discount in the ads.
And sometimes not even that. It's like, shit, I need a plasterer.
Yeah.
Hey, did the thing come in this week? Because find a plasterer in there.
Yeah.
And
I think the part that bothers me is that the different content providers are more and less obnoxious about where they place them as well, right?
Yes.
So like you go to some content providers and they're like, the ad is just in your face and it's just absolutely obnoxious,
It's
right?
annoying, right.
And then you have other content providers where they discreetly place the ad down the bottom right somewhere, or somewhere that's you can recognize it and you understand what it is, but it's not like pissing you off.
Yep.
Right.
My favorite one, Joff, is and I'm going to show give a little tip of the hand. You go to Facebook and you see that article. It's like, you won't believe what they did next. And like, sometimes I'm a sucker for some of those.
Nah.
And I click on the
But that's okay, right?
But
Yeah.
Facebook is notorious for that.
But it's not
to-
even Facebook. So I click on the link and you go to a page and it's like, all right, one of 37.
Oh, those are the worst.
And you
Facebook
click,
is the worst
and
for that.
you click on the first one, and it's like, okay,
You get one sentence.
and you get another sentence, and then the fan turns on, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why?
yeah, exactly.
You get one sentence, and the whole rest of the site, the whole is
Yeah.
all ad. But that's another thing too, Jeff. Even in our industry, in technology, let's say, there are a lot of sites that there'll be a gigantic banner ad along the top and a gigantic banner ad
Side.
along the side, and it's like really in your face. And I don't know. For a security audience, I don't necessarily know that is the right thing. I think that we're probably more accustomed and more in tune with smaller advertisements that are really smart, right? Like if
I don't mind. I mean, my point was, I don't mind tasteful.
Yes.
I do mind obnoxious.
If you're reading
because-
an article about firewalls, dare I say next generation firewalls, but you're reading an article about firewalls, and the ad is, hey, we got a pretty cool firewall product. We wrote this technical paper, and white paper is probably a bad example.
Yeah.
But maybe they're giving you some information generally, and then talking about their product. I think that is a good exchange, right? And I think a lot of webcasts try to be that, although so many webcasts talk just about product and not enough
About
general.
the white paper, yep.
We here at Security, we try and be more general,
other
like
way.
giving people advice in general
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
firewalls, right? We'll use firewalls because there's really no firewall vendor that is sponsoring the
Right,
show.
right.
So we'll use firewalls as an example. Like we would talk about firewalls and all
Yep.
the cool things
Yep.
that
Firewalls can do, and how you can configure them, and how you can
firewalls.
implement a ad blocker on your
What is-
firewall.
What is
And-
your evaluation criteria when you talk about a firewall, and then at the end the vendor
like-
talks about, oh yeah, we have this cool stuff. Like that's giving people
Exactly.
It's the give and take, right? Like you're giving a lot and you're asking for very little. And
Yeah.
I think so many of these ads have gone
And that
the other way. And not to mention,
and that's a lot of respect right there too.
but not to mention the security repercussions of all this advertising too. How many, we call it malvertising, campaigning is the marketing.
One word.
It's got
Angler.
a song and a
Angler.
dance and a logo and a website. Malvertising is a thing.
Yep.
And one of the reasons why we as security professionals block all these ads is because there can be malicious stuff.
Yeah. The one
Right.
that I got a soapbox for 1 second. The one that drives me nuts is Facebook and Christmas time.
Facebook any of the time is just bad.
Well, so
With
but
advertising,
even
it's
but even
terrible.
worse. But so obviously I Amazon and I Facebook, and I'll go to Amazon and I'll be searching for stuff for my wife for Christmas on Amazon. And I'll be like adding stuff to my wish list. Like maybe I'll get her this and maybe I'll get her that. And I'll be sitting on the sofa next to her and Facebooking, and it's like, ad comes up and it's like, hey, you recently added like big black dildo to your Amazon wish list. Would you like to order this now? And I'm like, no, honey, I got you for this Christmas. No, I'm like,
next, finished.
It's like at Christmas time, that's like horrible. You don't put that shit on your Facebook timeline when you're sitting next to your significant other for the gift that you might be getting her.
The weird part is when you when you Google search for something or you're searching for something in Amazon, and it's almost like somehow they have some kind of agreement or something.
Oh, they do. Cookie correlation, baby.
Cookie correlation. Because let's say you Google searched for something, and then you go to Facebook and you start seeing ads for it, or you liked a couple of pages on Facebook, and all of a sudden, when you go to Google, you're seeing ads for that thing, and that's just creepy.
Yep.
That's creepy.
Hey, I want to hear a couple of words from Mr. Privacy.
I want to hear from Kevin on this. I was thinking the same
Larry,
thing.
you just made me remember something of an article I read, I think this week by Malwarebytes, where they had found there was a massive campaign against some really popular websites. And let me read a few of these for you and see if you've been to any of them in the last couple of weeks. MSN.com, New York Times, BBC, Xfinity.com, NFL. They all found to be serving the Angular exploit kit.
Oh.
Actually, fortunately, I haven't been. Maybe the BBC was the only one that I might have been to.
But it's all done through these third-party advertising networks.
It's been a problem for a long time.
Yep. And I think that's one distinction to make about our banner advertisements. They're all hosted locally, yes? Or they used to be.
No, they are. They're just images hosted locally, and the JavaScript for a wiki site I stole from the internet and modified for our own purposes. And the WordPress plugin we use is like the standard WordPress plugin for serving ads.
So we're trying to be responsible.
We're trying to be responsible. It all does is serve images, too. That's all it does is serving images. I do want to say Hacker Fans gave Mr. Robot's website a free security checkup.
This one might have been a little older.
It could have been. It's interesting.
Oh, well, I mean, it's recently published, but I think maybe some of the stuff was a little bit older, but I could be wrong. Blind SQL injection.
Yeah, it was a blind SQL injection that they disclosed and are trying to help out. I thought it was interesting that like we love Mr. Robot so much that like we'll help out their website, and I don't know that there's a significant impact to finding security bugs or exploiting security bugs on USA Network's website. They're not. I mean, they're just promoting the show. They're not. It's not Facebook or Amazon. You know what I mean? It's not. There's not transactions. To my knowledge,
they're potentially capturing personal data if you're signing up for a newsletter or something like that.
I think much less impact, but nice that the security community is willing.
Well, yeah, but think about the flip side of that too, right? Try being part of that group. Going, all right, how do we handle this? That's not a fuck off and die kind of response, or hey, I'm going to send my lawyers. You got to be like, wow, that's like you. That's your demo, and you have a good relationship with them. You got to handle that stuff carefully, but at the same time, you don't want to make it a call of, hey, anybody who feels like abusing us or quote testing us, bring at it. All you want to be pen testers, come at me, bro. And we'll see. Like that's you want to talk about a fine line? That's what we're looking at.
It's a good point.
Yep.
Larry, last story?
Yep. So the last one that I wanted to, you had the little bit maybe older story and that type of stuff. I want to throw in one that was actually kind of interesting. My story number 4 was when encryption is not enough for HIPAA.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And this article, I stumbled across it from Swift on Security today, in that it's an older article from 2014 that Brigham Women's Hospital employee was robbed at knife point to steal their phone and laptop, which were both encrypted, and they were tied to a tree and demanded to release the decryption for them.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So and and in effort of full disclosure, the CIO with Brigham Women's when this happened was my former boss at another healthcare organization. So and I didn't know that until I started reading the article when I went through it. I'm like, whoa. Huh. That's a name I recognize.
Well, there's an interesting, there's another part to this that's interesting, right? So Tennessee just updated their breach notification law and said, hey, by the way, if you're encrypted, so what? Report the breach anyway.
Yeah.
Which that kind of crap angers me because, this is probably going to surprise people because I've actually always I don't like it when somebody goes, no, we're encrypted, we're good. Because I always go, well, how did you deploy the encryption? How did you implement it? How do you do key management?
Did you put the password on a Brother P-Touch label on the bottom of the laptop? Or
but you see, and that's the thing. If you've been doing this long enough, it's like, well, we use two-factor authentication, right? But that's the code right on the token. Like they wrote the code right on the token.
I want to.
But hold on though. I just want to finish my point. So like typically, I'm anti I'm encrypted, I'm good. But then when you come out and you're like, well, no, even if you're encrypted, you got to report. Well, wait a minute then. So now we're fixated on breaches. Breaches are symptoms, kids. They are perhaps telling of something bigger. But that means if you did encryption properly, you still have to go through a lot of wasted time and effort.
You still get bent over.
Has anyone tried to verbally speak a password to someone else? And had issues with that? Show of hands. Show of hands. Like if someone asks you, "Hey, what's the password?" and you have to tell them what the password is.
Fuck yeah!
And you're like capital.
You sound like you're giving them a missile launch code.
Yeah. Capital B.
No. Okay. Capital Bravo, lowercase uniform.
Exactly.
You got to do it. You got to do it in the NATO alphabet.
Hold on. Show of hands. How many people that they type in the password the first time it works? Like never, right? Like never. When you describe it to them, like they're. So I want to know, like, when you're tied to a tree, and the evil bad guy in a mask is like, "What's your password?" And you're like,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Capital B, Bravo, underscore, lowercase I, exclamation point, tilde.
Dude,
and they're like, hold on, wait. What the fuck is a tilde? And you're like, it's the thing all the way in the left-hand corner. Like,
I'm
you got it.
Dude, fucking hurry up. I'm
tied to a tree.
The cops are coming.
And they're like, wait, hold on, I got to test this. And they're like, that didn't work. And you're like, no, capital B, Bravo, tilde.
Uniform. Bring those passwords in when you don't have a keyboard, so you've got to scroll through it. It's not even like using like the T9 texting. Like you got to go through every freaking letter, and you're entering like a 32-character password, and then it bails out on you. It doesn't work.
Okay, so like, we'll just exchange PGP keys. Can you untie me so I can send you a PGP email with the password?
It's like, here's the knife, and the guy's like, all right, I'm gonna stab you unless you give me your password. Okay, it's like uppercase U, lowercase 5,
and you write it down.
No, they don't have anything to write it with. You get to like the fourth character, and like, wait.
They're like,
shit.
We'll give you one.
We'll give you one themselves. They're like, screw this. Like, I'm out of here.
Wait, we'll give you one hand to write it down, and you write it down, and like, is that an L or a 1? And you're like, oh fuck, just stab me now, god damn it.
Kevin's laughing his ass off over there.
It's true though. Trying to give someone a password is hard. Like, it's just biometric.
Especially when you're tied to a tree.
Yeah, it's easier for you to just take my finger off. Like, just cut my finger off. It's biometric. Use my fingerprint. Better yet, you got any silly putty? Just take my fingerprint. It's easier.
Got a chewed up gummy bear?
All right.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That was funny.
So with that.
No better way to end.
Yep. So
we should probably end the show.
Better way to end. Go peep my Anarchist Daleks thing in the show notes about some fun Nmap stuff that I played with today. And I was like, oh, this is kind of awesome.
You had fun today?
I did. You do an Nmap scan, you send it to XML output, and then you use XSLT processor, proc, and then take that and convert it to HTML, and it's like, this is so much easier to read.
Oh, nice. I like that.
I did it. Nice. I did it on my home network, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Wait. Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shake it, make it sexy.
Story 11, you'll still be able to hack your Linksys WT routers with open source firmware. Despite new FCC rules, that story is in there and very important. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thank you to Larry, Joff, Michael, and not Kevin, and our special guest, Grifter, who came on the show.
Actually, Neil was on the show. Grifter was
you're right. Neil
we had the nice guy.
We had the nice Neil on the show. Grifter didn't make an appearance.
Yeah, right.
So.
Lovely Larry, nice Neil.
That's it. Lovely Larry and nice
Pleasant
Grumpy
Paul.
grifter, grumpy grifter.
Pleasant Paul. Thanks everyone for watching.
Kick-ass Kevin.
We'll see everyone next week on Security Weekly. Larry, take us out.
Over.